皆さん、こんにちは。中国実情のチャンネルへようこそ。いつもご視聴いただき、本当にありがとうございます。今日も皆さんに興味深いお話をお届けしますので、ぜひ最後までお楽しみいただき、チャンネル登録と高評価をお願いしますね。
You just gotta be prepared for people. Do you know why we're not as blown away? Because it's incredibly noisy. I don't want to do anything. It's too much.
以前からずっと中国が大好きだったというあるカップル YouTuber がいます。彼らは大きな期待を胸に抱き、ついに中国旅行へと出発しました。周りの人たちからは行くのを止められたそうですが、長年夢見ていた旅を実現させるため、彼らは中国へ飛び立ったのです。
We are going to China. We're in our first Chinese restaurant.
Just have a bite.
しかし、中国に到着して最初の食事をしたとき、彼らはすぐに何か強い違和感を覚えました。目の前に出てきたのは、自分たちが期待していた料理とはかけ離れたものだったのです。おかしいと感じたのは、食事だけではありません。道を歩いていても、どこへ行っても、現地の見知らぬ人々が、自分たちのことを露骨にジロジロと見てくるのです。
The only thing that's strange to me is that we are getting stared at.
この状況にすっかり居心地の悪さを感じた二人は、人が少ない朝早くから行動を開始することにしました。
We're getting a bit tired of early mornings. We've had a lot of them here in China, but unfortunately, due to the crowds, most of the time for distractions, you gotta get up early to beat the crowds, and every single time.
しかし、その努力も無駄に終わってしまいます。中国にはいつどこに行っても常に大勢の人で溢れ返っており、彼らは人気の観光地をただ遠巻きに眺めることしかできませんでした。
Not see anything.
Hello. It's crazy busy. We're just gonna have to squeeze our way through. I have just been shoved with elbows, like in my waist, shoved to try and get a main viewpoint. I don't know if the other pits will be probably the most hellish tourist site I've ever been to so far.
それでもカップルはずっと念願だった張家界へと向かいます。夢にまで見た憧れの場所に行く瞬間なので、とてもワクワクしていたのですが、残念ながらここでもまた何か違和感を覚えることになります。
I gotta say, it's pretty sick, but we're not as blown away as we thought we'd be.
But do you know why we're not as blown away? Because it's incredibly noisy. There's so many people.
It's just insane.
You've just got to be prepared for people. The noise thing got to me today. I think Mount Hua was big enough that it didn't really impact it, but this was...
It's tough.
Tough, yeah. All right, Chinese tourists screaming on mountains when it should be a very insular experience. I just thought that was so interesting. Us Europeans would go to a mountain for solitude, and maybe that speaks to the history here of communism. We're at the hot pot restaurant, and I noticed as soon as I walked in I couldn't really breathe properly, and it's because everyone is smoking cigarettes. I don't understand how this is still a thing. I'm burnt out and I don't want to do anything. It's too much.
結局、この YouTuber はこうした予想外の出来事の全てに耐えきれなくなり、完全に心が折れてしまいました。ここで中国に長く滞在した経験を持つ外国人たちが自身の体験を共有してくれます。ある YouTuber は中国で10年以上も暮らした元中国大使館の職員です。
Then you're going to struggle in China is the culture. It's saving face, even being dishonest to cover your own back, or to get out of social engagements. This is very unusual for Europeans, and especially people like Germans who are extremely direct and frank. The idea that you can just lie and be dishonest to cover yourself or to get out of an arrangement is something very unusual. And just on every level, the culture in China is extremely different. It's more of a conformist society. There's more emphasis on the collective rather than the individual. Stare at people, invade their personal space, and even pick up items out of their shopping trolley. I've experienced all of these things, and you're really going to struggle to live in China. And this is kind of one of the big reasons why I don't anymore, is the annoying habits of Chinese people. And this is tied into the point about cultural differences, but it can just be quite wearing. I was there for 10 years, and it just starts to wear on your nerves when people are extremely loud, they spit, they let their kids pee in trash cans or on the street, They don't queue, there's pushing. You know, old grannies will barge you out of the way at a roadside food stall. It's just a bit basic, some of the behavior, some of the habits.
Everyone smokes, and they smoke inside. That was shocking to me. I'm from London, I live in New York. I'm not one who's shy or disturbed or annoyed by cigarette smoke. Like, that is the life in New York. I have smoked cigarettes. Like, I'm not bothered by cigarette smoke, but I was flabbergasted at how much people were smoking, but most importantly that people were smoking inside. Like, even I was in a hotel and my hotel room was like non-smoking, and I think my hotel room floor was non-smoking, but I would still see cigarette butts like on the floor inside the hotel, which was crazy to me. In like performances, I went to go see this like live performance, and there were people just smoking inside during the live performance, in the lobby of restaurants. It happens everywhere.
In China, people are still allowed to smoke indoor. They smoke in restaurants. How many times did I see cigarettes under my table? They smoke inside some trains. I had to move to another part of the train when I went to Zhangjiajie because some people were smoking. Taxi drivers sometimes smokes too. And I heard some people smoke in their houses. That one I don't care, it's your house, you do you. I don't think I would have survived. Fun fact that kind of surprised me when I came to China. Making the line is sometimes kind of abstract to some people here, especially for old people. They just love to cut the line. And I noticed that if one person cuts the line, a lot of people are just going to follow the movement and do the same, which easily turns to something quite chaotic. Before coming here, I had this idea of Chinese people being into collectivism, like, okay, we're all in this together, let's make things easy for everyone. But in public space, that's where the so-called individualism comes up. It's more like me first and everyone for themselves. It's kind of same on the road, actually.
What was your first culture shock when you came to China?
Probably the spitting, because like in my first city in Cebu, we used to ride a lot of the e-bikes. So I did get spit on my foot a couple of times about like just people riding their bike and like casually like spitting. And
everywhere you go, people will take pictures, they'll take videos, they will touch your hair, they will touch your skin, because it's probably the first time that they're seeing a black person. Stupid. We don't flush toilet paper. Even if you poop, you don't flush. You just throw it in the bin, which is disgusting. Oh, as you flush it, oh, we don't flush. You just, when you finish, you just put it in the trash can. Disgusting.
さて、中国旅行であまりにも大きな失望を味わってしまったカップル YouTuber は、もうアジア旅行自体を諦めようとさえ考えていました。しかし、すでに購入済みの航空券があったため、仕方なく予定通り、次の目的地である日本へとやってきます。
Our minds shifted to stillness. It was actually a very special experience and one that Tim and I won't forget. We're in downtown Kyoto, and it is one of the most magical places we've both ever been, I think. Would you agree?
It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it's just incredible to get a glimpse of what historic Japan might have looked like. I don't know if you can make out, but on the other side of the bank are historic looking wooden houses framed by the sakura, and I honestly can't really believe it. I am so excited. We have arrived at a traditional ryokan. We just got back from an evening onsen, and now we are ready for bed in our traditional ryokan. We're on our futons on the floor, and it is surprisingly comfortable.
It's very nice.
中国旅行でずっと食事のことで悩み苦しみ続けていたカップルは、日本での食事はどうだろうかと少しの期待を寄せます。
So we're going to bring him along to this experience and see if Kobe beef is worth the hype, but more importantly, this is Japanese wagyu with garlic and wasabi. Oh my god. No, I can't. That's so good. That's amazing.
Yeah?
You have to try that.
Wow, it just melts. Like it dissolves. Wow.
Oh my god.
It was actually absolutely incredible.
I'm really glad we tried it. We spent a lot of money, but it was worth it.
What are we doing in Fukuoka? Why did we go there actually? What was the recommendation?
Ramen.
The birthplace of ramen.
Bon appetit.
Each year in Fukuoka, excellent, absolutely excellent. We both agree, we both love the ramen. Best ramen we've had in Japan so far.
そして映像の中で彼らは本当に食事が楽しめてよかったと心からの喜びを繰り返し語っているのです。
We are here at Himeji Castle and it is nothing short of spectacular. Behind me you can see the original castle which mostly dates to around 1601 to 1609. The most amazing fact is that this castle has survived earthquakes, wars and also extensive bombing of World War II, which actually destroyed most of this that you can see. Definitely worth a visit.
We just found out that actually castles like the Nijojo castle here behind me have not relied on any mortar or other adhesives to build their stone walls. It's actually all just dry stone. It's built using a technique called ishigaki. The rest is literally just stones on a brick wall stuck together. Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
先ほど登場した元中国大使館職員だった男性も日本で3年間暮らしてみて自分が実際に感じた両国の違いについて語ってくれています。
The first thing I noticed after moving to Japan was the incredible level of politeness. And I had always thought of the UK as a polite country, but the Japanese take things to an absolutely whole new level. My mum came over to visit and she was in a wheelchair, and on many occasions people just went out of their way to help her. We went into a Starbucks and the girl came from behind the till. She ran out, opened the door, helped me get my mum inside. And this is just one of many instances where people are incredibly polite in Japan. I always saw the UK as a polite country before, but after coming back from Japan, this had changed because they had set the bar to a completely new level. The second amazing thing about Japan is the degree of service. It doesn't matter if you're in a McDonald's, if you're in a Starbucks, if you're in a public toilet, wherever you may be, the people working there take pride in their jobs, take their work very seriously, give you incredible service, and this really puts the UK to shame. When you come back to the UK, people don't seem to enjoy their jobs, they're badly presented, they don't have any enthusiasm, and especially in the service industry, they give you a very bad customer service experience. So in Japan, this was amazing. The level of service is truly excellent, and it kind of puts the UK to shame by comparison. The third point, which is somewhat related, is the Japanese work ethic, and you see this across all sectors and areas, as I said, whether it's in the service industry, even in McDonald's, or whether it's with tradesmen, skilled manual laborers, in companies, wherever you are, there is just an intense work ethic, and it's very impressive. And by comparison, the UK looks pretty slovenly. The UK work ethic looks very weak compared to Japan, and that's not really a criticism of the UK in some ways, because to be honest, apart from maybe Germany, pretty much anywhere in the world is going to look like it has a pretty slovenly work ethic compared to Japan. The fourth point is somewhat related to the last, and that is the level of discipline in Japan. People are extremely disciplined, and you see this even with little children walking to school in winter in shorts. They wear shorts all year round. They are tough. There is a level of toughness in the country, and it is impressive. And this goes throughout the whole society, and it comes across in some of the areas that I also talked about, like the service industry and stuff. People are well presented, well turned out. They have standards. It's related to a high level of standards across the country, and that goes for personal presentation, personal hygiene, how people conduct themselves. There is a high standard across the country, and also it's interlinked with this high level of personal discipline, which I very much respect. And by comparison, the UK most definitely is not disciplined. It is pampered, it is spoiled by a government which gives out a lot of benefits. It looks weak, unhealthy, badly presented, slovenly. So I really think the level of discipline that they have in Japan is something that's very admirable. The fifth striking comparison between the UK and Japan is the level of safety. I went to Tokyo on my first trip to Japan, and I saw all these cell phones on the table in Starbucks, and I didn't understand what that was about. I couldn't understand why people wouldn't just be snatching them up and running off with them like they would do probably in London. And it was people were putting down their cell phones to actually hold their place while they went up to get their drink. So people were using cell phones as placeholders, even in the capital city, in Tokyo. So this is kind of an incredible eye-opener for me, and the level of personal safety in Japan is really amazing. The sixth comparison is to do with cleanliness, and this is related again to levels of standard, discipline, work ethic, all that kind of stuff. Cleanliness in Japan is incredible. I would get up in the morning and go for a run to the gym, and I would see people up at 5, 6 a.m. hosing down the pavements outside their shops and their apartments, cleaning the pavements, cleaning the sidewalks, and just keeping the place very tidy. You would often see older people weeding public hedgerows and green areas, cleaning out ditches. It's all linked to this level of social cohesion and discipline and personal standards, and it just makes the place extremely clean, very well maintained, and it makes it a pleasure to be there. And by comparison, the UK looks like an absolute dump, especially recently, where councils are not giving money to even cut hedgerows or collect garbage. This makes it even more striking, the comparison between the UK and Japan in terms of cleanliness, whether you're talking about public toilets, even restaurants, whatever it is. The UK looks grubby and dirty to many countries by comparison, but even more so to Japan, which is probably the cleanest country in the world and has the highest standards for cleanliness.
いかがでしたでしょうか？ぜひコメント欄で今回の動画についての感想や皆さんのご意見をお聞かせください。今日も最後までご視聴いただき本当にありがとうございました。